2, 1. Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Northwest Wayne Fans Annual Overdose Awareness Day event. My name is Lauren Rousseau, and I am the president of this fan chapter. It is exactly 6:30, and at the recommendation of one of our board members just a moment ago, I think we're going to wait for another minute or two just to give some people who are just now connecting some time to connect before we start. So we'll wait for just a minute. In the meantime, thank you all for joining us today.
Your language and how you approach.
I see a few more people just starting to connect, so I'm glad we waited for a minute.
Hello?
I hear a hello.
Okay, I hear you now. Okay, I'm new at this.
Okay, probably a good idea to mute right now, and when it's time to speak, then you can unmute. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Wait a minute. What do you want me to do now?
So you should mute yourself. There should be a microphone on the left.
Okay.
So everyone needs to mute when they're not speaking, because otherwise there's feedback typically.
So mute myself?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay. I'm muted, right?
No, you're not.
Okay.
I am hearing you. All right, we're going to get started. So as I said a moment ago, welcome to Northwest Wayne Families Against Narcotics 4th Annual Overdose Awareness Day event. In our perfect world, we would be recognizing today in person, meeting in person with an evening in a local park as we've done in the past. But as a result of the uncertainty and risk presented by the coronavirus and COVID-19, we decided it was safer this year to hold the event virtually. We wanted to make sure that nobody felt prevented from participating in this event and in the remembrance of our loved ones due to fear of the coronavirus exposure. So that is why we decided to go along and do it this way. So today is International Overdose Awareness Day. It's a day that is recognized around the world to bring awareness to the devastating cost of addiction that's impacted so many of our individuals and so many families in our community. It's a day that we take to remember and honor those loved ones that we've lost as a result of this disease, and to think about and call for an end to the stigma and shame that seems to go hand in hand with addiction and too often is just as deadly as the disease. I would like to say that our country and our state has made progress in battling overdose deaths in the past year. I'd like to say that, but it wouldn't be true. The fact is that drug overdose deaths actually increased in 2019 by approximately 5%, to over 70,000 deaths in 2019. And that was before the coronavirus hit. That preceded our current pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic has actually made the overdose crisis worse. Michigan is one of 35 states that has reported an increase in opioid-related deaths since the start of the coronavirus lockdowns in March. Fears about the virus, the enforced isolation of the lockdowns, loss of employment, lack of in-person recovery meetings, all of these things have impacted the ability of people to sustain recovery. And in the early months of the virus, many treatment centers and recovery homes were also reducing admissions with the idea of limiting the spread. So for all of these reasons, we've actually seen an uptick over the 70,000 that we just saw in 2019 with respect to overdose deaths. And so today, we're going to remember and we're going to honor those people that we've lost. And we're going to spend some time thinking about what we can do to stop the ongoing stigma and to support recovery. I am for a moment going to share my screen because I want to show you the program that we're going to be following tonight just for a moment, and then I'll unshare it so that you can focus your undivided attention on our speakers and on our musical guest this evening. So let me just do this here. I'm hoping everybody can see the screen. And so I'm just going to briefly run down the plan for this evening. So we are at number 1, introductions and welcome. We are delighted to have Pat Williams, Canton Township Supervisor, with us again this year as a speaker. We also, as you can see after Pat Williams, Lisa Sellinger is going to share her personal story. Lisa has been a part of our band chapter since the very beginning. She started with us in 2017 on our chapter board, and she's now a member of our advisory board. We're going to follow up with a beautiful piece of music by Amy Cheek and her backup musicians. She's going to introduce those to us. And then following, we'll have a poem read by Tanya Napolitano. Tanya is a member of our Northwest Wayne Fan Grief Support Group. She actually leads that group right now, and it meets on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month. She'll give you a little bit more information about that when she speaks. We're going to follow that with Pat Esselink, who's the Canton Community Relations Officer, and then another personal story by Pat Zakowski. Janine Davis, who is a member of our Northwest Wayne Fan Stronger Together Family and Friends Support Group, will lead us for a moment in prayer. Like our grief support group, our family and friends support group meets twice a month, the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month as well. And Janine will share a little bit more information about that with you as well. We'll then have a brief candlelight vigil. So if you have a candle, if you don't have one, it's probably a good time at some point during the program to grab one. We're going to invite you all to light a candle and hold it for a moment. We'll have a moment of silence, followed by another song by Amy Cheek. The last item before we conclude is the words of remembrance, and I want to share a little bit about what we're going to be doing there. If you have a picture of your lost loved one, we invite you to hold that up to the camera and share that with us. And we will unmute everybody at that time, and I'll be calling on individuals to say one word, just one word about their loved one, about their personality, their memory, just any word that you want to share that comes to mind. And then lastly, we're going to finish with a video, a brief video of the One Voice Children's Choir singing a piece of music. So that's the plan. I'm going to stop this share now. So the Zoom etiquette basically demands that everyone basically should stay muted unless you're speaking. So because if you unmute, then there'll be background noise, and oftentimes it results in some static and some interference with the person who's speaking. The other thing I invite you to do is go up to the top of your screen. I don't know how familiar everyone is with Zoom, but at the top of your screen on the right-hand side, there's a little area where you can click and either have speaker view or grid view. So if you go up there and hit speaker view, then whoever's speaking is going to be big, and you're going to have just a few little boxes at the top of some of the participants in the program. If you hit grid view, you're going to be seeing what I'm seeing right now as I'm looking at the screen, at my screen, which is everybody in a little box, right? Brady Bunch style. So once we get started, you might want to switch it to speaker view if you haven't already, so that you can, see a large video of the person who's speaking or singing. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Pat Williams, our Canton Township Supervisor, for his remarks. Pat?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Is my voice coming through clear enough?
It is.
Wonderful. Okay. And with Patty Esselink here, I don't know, we didn't share notes before the meeting, so hopefully I don't ride over what you were going to say. And I was thinking maybe you could pick up on the rescue recovery program, because I did not in much detail. Again, Pat Williams, Canton Township Supervisor, 4th year in the role. Loving the job, but the part of the reality of my position is all things related to public safety, good, bad, and indifferent, come through my office. I become aware of them. And I tell you what, it wears on you, some of the sad stories that are out there. Very much appreciative of the fact that we have FAN as one of our partners in the Canton community. And if you've heard me speak on this topic before, it's opioid, drug addiction is very personal, overdose. to me. I lost my sister 14 years ago, before opioids was even a thing or that everybody talked about all the time. Now it's at the top of everybody's tongue. I think we are trying to work through public safety and through other venues to do what we can as a Canton community to destigmatize drug and drug abuse, because I think everybody's coming to the full realization that it is a mental health related issue. There's other things happening and triggers out there that folks are struggling to deal with. And so they tend to default over to drugs to support to get them through the tough periods. Canton Township overall, Lauren made a very good point. COVID is not helping us. We've had so far to date in Canton Township, since Wayne County Health Department has started tracking COVID, 913 cases, of which 64 people have died so far this year since they started keeping track of the numbers. And yes, there's a side discussion you can have, but there's comorbidity issues with those who are passing, but it is continuing to grow. So I'm a little bit nervous about schools coming back together. In Canton Township, for the first 7 weeks, we locked everything down because we didn't know what we were dealing with. And we were kind of following what the CDC, Center for Disease Control, the governor's executive orders, trying to understand, what does it mean to Canton Township, not only our residents and businesses, but also our employees and public safety. Public safety, which I think you're all pretty much aware, never got caught a break through all this stuff. Now, in fact, the run volumes have gone up. To Lauren's point, I'm very intimate with Canton's numbers. We are on track to sadly have worse numbers than 2019 in Canton. If things stay as they are, we will probably lose 10 souls to overdose in Canton this year. And we're headed, I think right now, for 46 overdose runs. So that's basically every week at least a run is going on, and every month we're losing a soul. And so that's tragic, not only for the community, but all the families and their friends that are connected to it, which I'm preaching to the choir here, so I don't have to deliberate or talk long on that. We did reopen Canton Township. We're now open 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday from 9 to 3. All the employees, full-time employees, have returned to work. All the part-time employees have continued to be laid off during this period. People are starving for things and activities to do. So golf courses are busier than they've ever been. We've had to close the theater, close the summit, because we can't have more than 10 people at an event. So something I'm very proud of is Leisure Services has kind of recreated themselves. And there's a whole lot of new programming that didn't exist before, where people can get outside and do things. And we've added some pretty large tents to expand our ability to do more outside. And we are talking daily, literally, about, okay, as the weather changes, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it to keep people engaged so they can get out of the house and get involved with other people and get exercise. And we're trying to figure out how to do that. And there's some pretty neat ideas, I think, for Halloween, trick-or-treating, and that the Leisure Services group has put out there. So please do go to our website and take a look at what opportunities that do exist. I think also there are some upsides of the strangeness that's going on right now. For example, you can attend meetings like this in your pajama pants and nobody knows any better, right? It's kind of cool. I think kindness is way up, and Patty was key to this. We had a group of volunteers come in and call over, I think it's close to 3,000 senior citizens at home just to check in early on the COVID, say, hey, how you doing? What do you need? Are there anything, are you short? Do you need food? Whatever. And Patty and her team just did an incredible job of gathering supplies and food and getting them distributed out. And I don't know what the numbers are today, but we created what is called the COVID hotline. It's still live and going. It's 394-5400. You call in if you have a need, and we'll figure out how we can help you. So that was a pretty cool event. Also, their local businesses got together with a few women from the community and fed the front line. So taking food out to the hospitals and emergency rooms and feeding the frontline workers who were working insane hours early on in the program. I think things have settled down in terms of the numbers. Sadly, overall crime is still down about 23%, which is good news. But the calls for domestic violence are increasing as time goes on. And it was really peaked early on. And you could tell, there are people who maybe didn't like each other so much before COVID, and now they're stuck at home together. And so there's some people struggled with their dealing with that. So I think it peaked, it calmed down, the numbers are starting to go up again. So what I'd like to be the focus for everybody is figuring out creative ways to be connected and stay engaged in hobbies and just be with other people. I mean, that's the strongest thing message that we can put out there is stay engaged. Don't go under in the shell and hide out. Talk to your neighbors, look out for the seniors around you that maybe need help, and on and on. That's kind of the gist of what I wanted to say this evening. And I don't know if there is any questions folks have for me. But that's kind of the 50,000 foot view from Canton Township, what's happening. And we are still sorting it out, and because it's an evolving situation. Financing from the federal government at this point, they've done an amazing job in terms of boosting the public safety side. The rest of the businesses, it's not real clear where the numbers are going to go. State revenue sharing, which is critically important to township government or local governments. There's been hits as high as 600,000 this coming quarter of funds that we would normally see that are not coming. But then there's every day there's a new prediction that says, no, it's not as bad as we thought. So like everybody else, we're just trying to unravel and unpack what's coming at us and then make the best decisions we can as a community. I'll stop talking there and answer any questions anybody has. And I'm open book on anything.
Thank you so much, Pat. Again, we really appreciate you speaking at this event again. 4 years in a row, you've spoken at every one of our events. The increase in numbers is disturbing, but not surprising. I'm really glad to hear about all the great innovative things that Canton is doing, though, to try to engage people. And I think that's amazing advice. That's great advice that you just gave about trying to stay connected. It is so challenging under the current circumstances. I know people are really struggling with that. So I'm going to ask Lisa Selinger to speak now. Lisa?
Hi, thanks, Lauren. Hi, everyone. This is really kind of a surreal moment for me to be asked to be speaking tonight. As a conversation, a story that I've been asked to tell that I was not expecting to tell so soon. Certainly it was something that I knew was a reality given the fact that my son has been addicted to very strong drugs for 8+ years. And he suffered, and we saw him suffered, and we suffered along with him. But even though it was a reality, I just guess it never felt possible for us. He seemed so strong, and he tried for years to find recovery and to sustain his sobriety. But his disease, his sickness was so much more than what his body, his heart, his brain could overcome. He had moments where he was in recovery, and we were able to see Joseph, my son, whose name is Joseph Otto Selinger. He was very earnest in his efforts to find sobriety, but with such an awful addiction, such an awful disease, and the treatment and that is difficult to find and to get, even for people that have means, that have supposedly good insurance coverage, and the confusion and chaos that comes with this addiction. Joe just became, it was so overwhelming. It was overwhelming for us as a family, and for him, for Joe, who was very compromised after years of using. It just got to be too much for him this year. And so on July 2nd, I received the phone call that no one wants to receive, but like I said, that was always a fear of mine and for my families. As a matter of fact, a year ago, at the last overdose awareness event, the four of us, my son Joe and my daughter Gina and my husband Michael, the four of us were together. And it was such a wonderful moment. It felt so hopeful. And I felt the love and the pride from my family as I was able to share with those in attendance at that event a couple of poems that to me were very meaningful. And it was one moment where I felt we were all driven to a common goal, which is to make addiction less of a normal way of people dying. I mean, it just seems like this story is being told over and over. It is not uncommon, and it is so tragic. And I just don't want us to become comfortable with this story because it is so horrific. I just can't tell you the horror that we have lived with the past couple of months, knowing that our son is not going to be here to hug, to laugh with, to share stories with, to feed. I just want to feed him again. And I can't. And there were just so many years where we saw these beautiful moments in Joe and in the people that were with Joe that tried to help him and that did things very graciously from their hearts for him to ease his pain, to make him feel part of a community. And he in turn was doing that for others. He would reach out to people that were suffering. He would offer a hug to someone that really wasn't very pretty or very pleasant at that moment because they were suffering. And so all throughout Joe's disease and his illness, I did my best to stay in touch with him. I talked to him almost daily, whether via phone call or a text. And at the end of every interlude that we had, he would say, "I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom." He appreciated that so much. And I would just encourage anyone that knows of someone who is struggling with this disease to please, like you, Pat, said, stay in touch. Let them know they're important. Let them know they're loved and that they're wanted in your life or in the life of the community. The community needs all of us. And I guess one thing that was that hit me in the past couple months is that I'm really angry about this. I'm angry that my son is not with us anymore. I'm so sad, and my life has changed, and it's changed initially for the worse, of course, but I'm hoping I can find I know I'll find beauty in it as well. And I know that Joe will be with me, helping me to see the beauty. But I think we need, as a community, to keep educating, to keep talking about this disease. It's not something we should hide. I think when a person dies from this addiction, if it's at all possible for the families, please let it be known that that was what this person died from, because it opens up people's eyes. This is such a big deal for us. And I feel like more people should be angry about this. I feel in my son's case that the community that he grew up in, the school that he went to, the schools, people in those schools, teachers, administrators, coaches whose teams he was on, they should be angry about this and upset and thinking about what can we do, what can we all do as a whole community to help young people so they're not isolated, so they're not pushed away because what they're doing in high school is bad and they don't want the rest of the community subjected to this. I understand that, but it is a reality. And when you push people away, you create a really serious undercurrent of isolation that just thrives on the secrecy and the silence. And we just can't keep doing that. It's deadly. I just want to say that I'm trying now to forgive myself. This past couple months, I've been saying more and more, what if I did this? What if I had done that? Why did I do this? Or why didn't I do that? And I realized I did everything I possibly could. I did so much to try to help my son. My whole family did. And Joe did so much to try to help himself. So I'm trying to forgive myself and to not let those thoughts just weigh heavily on me. It's tough. It's a real challenge to get up and to be lighthearted. And then when I am lighthearted, I think, how dare I? How dare I feel happy? My son's gone. And I want to thank Joe also. Another thing in this whole journey is there have been some really beautiful moments that I have experienced because of my son and his journey with his addiction, with his sickness, that I would not have been able to experience. Just moments of grace and human kindness that I saw when Joe was very desperate from people in a nursing home that Joe spent 7 weeks in late 2019. There were nurses and administrators that treated him like their own son. And then another time, a judge early on in Joe's addiction, he went before a judge in Livonia, and he was sentenced to serve 75 days in jail, which totally floored me. I was in the jury or in the room when the sentence came down, and I was pretty hysterical. And that judge came down off of her bench at the end of seeing all the people go through her court to talk with me and my husband, to try to calm us, to try to help us understand what she had to do. And from the nurses, the doctors, the dentists, the caring people in treatment centers, of which my son was in and out of at least 20 times, so many people that showed him kindness, that understanding and acceptance, that tried to help him. I appreciate all of that. And now I'm trying to find my way forward, to live a life with purpose, to continue my story with Joe, to continue my relationship with Joe. I'm going to continue to have a relationship with him. I'm not exactly sure what form that is going to take, but it is going to be a daily remembrance of him and a daily remembrance of what he would have wanted in his life. And that is for us to treat one another with kindness, to look at each other with soft eyes, to really see when another person is struggling, that if we just offer a sweet hello, or I hope you find your way, to not judge, to remember my son's smile. He had a beautiful smile. He was a jokester. He was kind. He was all embracing. I just want to continue going forward. I'll eventually figure out a way to help and support others, but right now I'm just healing with my family. And I appreciate you guys letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your story so soon after your horrible loss. You know that our hearts break for you. I'm going to turn it over to Amy Cheek now for a bit of musical interlude. Thank you, Lisa.
Hi guys, hi out there. My name is Amy Cheek, and this is my husband Keith. And our good friend David is going to help us out tonight. We're honored to be part of this event, and thank you for having us.
You shelter me from harm. You carry me warm. You carry me warm. You gave my life to me. Set me free. Set me free. The finest use I ever knew were all the years I had with you. I would give everything I own, give up my life, my heart, my home. I would give everything I own just to have you back again. You taught me how to love, what it's love, what it's love. You never said too much, but still you showed the way. And I knew, watching you, nobody else would ever know the part of me that can't let go. I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my home. I would give everything I own just to have you back again. Is there someone you know loving you so, taking them all for granted? You may lose them one day, someone takes them away, and they don't know the words you long to say. Oh, I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my home. I would give everything I own just to have you back again, just to touch you once again.
Wow, that was really beautiful. The Amy Cheek Band. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
So now we're going to hear from Tanya Napolitano. Tanya, you have a poem that you want to read? I think we're going to hear from Tanya.
Yeah.
There we are.
I run the grief support group, which meets Tuesday, the second Tuesday and Thursday. I'm sorry, the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And if you are interested in that, feel free to click on the chat and type your information, and we can get a hold of you to get you more information about that, of where we meet and everything. But I'll go ahead and read the poem. I lost my daughter, so this poem not only touches on my loss, but also my reason for being involved with FAN and some of the other reasons why I'm involved with some of the things I'm involved with. My child died of a drug overdose, and long after the loss of my child, I am still dealing with the stigma, the cold stares, the judgmental looks, the cruel and nasty comments. I will spend the rest of my life listening to your opinions of my child's choices and my parenting skills. I will go to my grave defending my child's memory. Long after the loss of my child, I am still dealing with the stigma. My child died of a drug overdose. I am still dealing with the stigma. In spite of your cold stares, I share my child's story in an effort to support those who are traveling a similar path. In spite of your nasty comments, I will share their photo in remembrance and as a way to spread awareness. My child died of a drug overdose, and I am still dealing with the stigma. Why? I need you to understand that addiction can affect anyone. I need you to know that my child was raised in a loving family. Sorry. My child had dreams for a future. My child was loved. My child did not grow up aspiring to become an addict. Somewhere along the way, my child was swayed by peer pressure, involved in an unhealthy relationship, trying to cope with a childhood trauma, trying to fit in, or maybe just curious. Whatever the reason, somewhere along the way, addiction took control and eventually took their life. My child died of a drug overdose, and I am still dealing with the stigma so that maybe you won't have to.
Thank you so much, Tanya. We are so sorry for your loss, as you know, and thank you for all that you do for people who are still struggling with the loss and leading our grief support group. I also want to mention that on our Northwest Wayne Fan Facebook page, we have a event posting for all of the grief support group meetings. So that's another way that you can get information about when they're happening and where they're happening. But as Tanya said, it's the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at the PC Alano Club. I'm now going to invite Patty Esselink, the Canton Community Relations Officer, to speak.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, Patty Esselink, Canton Community Relations Officer. I've been an officer here for almost 20 years. So COVID has not helped us as we work through the community. Like Supervisor Williams says, our overdoses are slightly up from the year past. I know, like Lisa says, that that connection, that smile that you could give someone helps immensely. So during COVID, we reached out, like you said, to the seniors around the community and individuals around the community to see what they needed, just an extra, hey, we're here. And, you know, we're very fortunate here in Canton to have FAN in our backyard. So that when we run into any situations, we have that as a referral, as long with the Western Wayne Recovery organization. So some communities don't have that connection that we have with you guys or with GrowthWorks. So we try to utilize what we have to help those in the community when we can. So thank you for letting me be part of this today.
Thank you very much, Patty. Appreciate your remarks. So Janine Davis, it is time for our moment of prayer.
Okay, well, before we get into the moment of prayer, I just wanted to say a couple things about our family and friends support group, Stronger Together. We are a support group that offers help, healing, and hope to anyone who has impacted by a child, a spouse, or a friend who has struggled with substance abuse disorder. We too meet twice a month, the second and fourth Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. And we are currently meeting on the Northwest Fan Zoom platform. Our meetings are based on the 12-step personal recovery program and include a next step educational talk, as well as plenty of time for interactive group conversation. Everyone is welcome and we would love to meet you. If you'd like some more information about the group, please put your email in the chat and label it as support group, and someone will be contacting you. Thank you for that. And now let us pray. Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that even in these unprecedented times, we are able to gather together to remember those who have lost their battle with substance abuse disorder. May memories of them live in our hearts as they find peace and rest in you. We pray for all the families who mourn the loss of a loved one. May they find comfort in your loving arms. We pray for all those who are in active addiction. Lord, may they never give up hope, for all things are possible through you. We pray also for all those in recovery. With your help, Father God, may they stay strong and courageous, one day at a time. And now please, would you join me in praying the Serenity Prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Thank you very much, Janine. That was beautiful. It was perfect. So it's now time for our candlelight vigil. So if you have a candle available and you're able to light that candle, I invite you to do so and hold it up so we all can see. I'm going to hold up this. I'm going to get rid of the light for a second, get in the dark a little bit. Well, it didn't work out so well. We're going to have a moment of silence in remembrance of those that we've lost. All right, thank you, everybody. And I'm now going to invite Amy and the Amy Cheek Band to sing another song for us.
You can hear us?
Yep.
Tell me what does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, 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 I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing with the angels choir. I hope the angels know what they have heaven since you've arrived. Tell me, what do you do up in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, 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 I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know again that it's so nice up in heaven since you've arrived. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you've arrived.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. We have one more personal story before we do our words of remembrance, and that is Pat Zitkowski. So Pat, if you'd like to share your story, I turn it over to you. Pat Zitkowski, are you here?
Yeah, I just wondered, do I do anything here?
No,
Can you,
you're good.
can you
Yes.
see me and everything? Yeah.
We can totally see you. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, now I did a little, I'm a teacher and I work in Livonia, but I did a little bit of a organize this, because if I don't, I'm afraid I'm gonna get mad or cry. So I have a little, I'm gonna go step by step here. Can you guys still see me? Because
We can
What's
see you,
going
but
on?
are you sharing a screen?
I don't know what's going on. We're on my husband's cell phone because my Chromebook wouldn't work.
Okay,
I'll just talk.
somebody is sharing a screen. Jenny R is sharing a screen, and I don't know who that is.
Who that
Yeah.
is either. Jenny?
There we
Hey,
go. All right, now-
Okay, so anyway, okay, so I'm going to start. Lisa, thanks for your story. I looked up your son today. I just wanted to see. My son's also obituary is online, and he looks like a great kid. My son, we lost on 12/4/18. He was born on Veterans Day in 1983, and it was the first time I really learned what unconditional love was. He was a joy to raise. He was kind, giving, loving, and intelligent. And he was curious about everything. He would always ask questions to everybody about everything. And his curiosity, I really believe, put him right into doing drugs too. He had so many interests in life. When he got older, he collected knives and guns. He loved music. He loved camping. He played hockey. He coached his brother. All the sports things. He went to Catholic Central a couple years. He tried many career pathways. I mean, he could do anything. And I tell people, he never said he wanted to grow up to be a drug addict, and nobody does. It's a disease. People will argue whether it's a disease, and nobody wants to have that disease. And I don't know, I like to put that out there because I just get so angry about that. He spent most of his teenage years grounded for either being out too late or drinking. So we'd laugh when he got older because he was always grounded. He didn't get into harder drugs until like right after high school. And that's when we started to see a little bit of a change. When he got older, he met this girl and they moved to Las Vegas and he tried a new career, eventually got married. And then they came home and they were only home 2 years. They got a house and I noticed things were changing a lot with him. So anyway, the drugs really blew up their marriage and he came home with us to live with us. So the last 4 years of his life, he lived with us, and I was so thankful for that, to spend all that time with him. I spent hours on the phone trying to find treatment centers, trying to nurse him back to health, talking to him, everything. And he met Narcotics Anonymous, and he attended Narcotics Anonymous for the last 4 years of his life. And it was the best thing for him. And he cleaned up. But 2.5 years into it, he relapsed a couple times. And then 2.5 years ago, he was clean. And then he relapsed and died of a fentanyl overdose. So it was the worst day of my life. They found him in a hotel in Detroit. The police came over to the house. Of course, I'm at my mother's like I am every night helping her. And my husband was here and was greeted by the police telling him, and they came over there. It was just a nightmare. And it's a struggle to get out of bed sometimes. You know, I wake up and think of him. I go to bed and talk to him. I've gone to therapy, different meetings. I only talk to people who lost a child. You know, my own family is like, I don't know if they just don't want to bring them up because they don't want me to get upset, or if they just think I've moved on or what. So I love being able to talk to other people in my shoes. I mean, not a club we all wanted to be in, but I'm so thankful for it. And I'm saying this, all the things he was, because he's probably like every other kid, you know, they were brought up right. We did a good job. But this disease does not discriminate. It's cunning and it's baffling. When Matt died and being an NA, and you know, he always had friends in his life. He just had a charisma about him. He was just such a good speaker and intelligent. And he was just a voice of reason to me sometimes, but he always struggled with that devil. 200 people, over 200 people came to his funeral. It was a lot, or 300, Mark's saying 300. There was just a lot of people there. And it just warmed my heart that so many people loved him. And I know he would want me to help other people. And I'm 2 years from retiring, and I'm going to get more involved with FAN or something, and I really want to help out. He has a brother, and his brother had a little girl, and he got to meet the little girl, and then he had a son after that. And I got to see the baby being born. It was a little boy, and all on their own, they named him Matthew after my son. And it was the nicest thing. I mean, there's some sweet things that have happened, but I'd rather have him back. But I don't know. I'm just struggling still. My therapist said, she goes, "Are you having a harder time this year than last year?" And I said, yes. I mean, the night before Matthew died, you know, we talked on the phone that morning. I was on my way to school and we were talking, and I assumed he was at work. I had no idea he was using that day. And all day I had in the pit of my stomach, I could feel something. And as soon as I got home, I started calling him. He didn't answer the phone. And I texted my other son. I said, "Have you heard from Matthew?" And he said, "Mom, Matthew does this. He's fine." And I said, "I just want to make sure my firstborn isn't dead." I just had a feeling. And he was. And he died before I had that conversation. So we were always in tune with each other. You know, we had a connection. And I don't know what to say. I'm just still struggling so much. And just thanks for letting me share, because I think this is a good therapy for me. I think it's going to help me a little bit, get me out there to help others. And thank you for this opportunity.
Pat, thank you so much for sharing, to both of you for sharing your story. And Pat, again, you know, we have the grief support group that is available that can provide some support. And I think that this is true for many of us who've lost a loved one that I'm about to share. I lost a young man in 2012 I was legal guardian for that was like a son to me as a result of addiction as well. And that's why I got involved in the work that I do. I think everybody finds an avenue to cope with their grief in different ways. And the thing that was most effective for me was to get involved in trying to make a difference for other people who were struggling. So that eased my grief more than probably anything else that I could have done. So again, if you are interested in getting involved with our group in a greater way, we would welcome any involvement, and you should feel free to contact us. So thank you again. Yeah,
I will.
Yep, thank you again for sharing. So at this time, we're going to do something a little different, and I'm going to put my screen on the grid screen so I can see everybody. This is the portion of the program that we're referring to as Words of Remembrance. So if you would like to share a picture of your lost loved one and say a word or two, no more than that, because there's so many people, about your loved one, we would welcome your doing that. There is at the bottom of your screen, Zoom screen on the far right, there's a little button you can click that's called Reaction.
Just calms down the
okay, wait, I'm hearing some background here. Alfred, could you?
Works. Save me, because I was. Say it one more time.
Okay, we need everyone people who aren't speaking to mute for a second if they would. Okay, anyway, as I was trying to say, on the bottom of your screen to the right, there's a little button called Reaction. And it will allow you to sort of raise your hand. So because we have many people on here, I'm concerned that I may miss someone who wants to share something about their loved one. So if you do want to do that, again, we invite you to hold up a picture because we would love to see a picture of your lost loved one. And if you want to say a word or two, press that reaction button with the hand up so that I can see and I can call on you. So we'll invite people to do that right now. Anybody want to share?
Claudia?
Oh, Claudia.
Lauren?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you, Claudia. Thank you.
I don't know if you can see this. It's my
Yes,
son.
I can. Yep.
My son, Aaron, and my daughter, Kelly, and myself. And this was August 28th of last year for my daughter's birthday. And my son, Aaron, died of an overdose December 21st, 2019, just 8 months ago. And like Lisa and different ones were saying, it's the phone call you kind of expected, but never wanted to receive. And it's
so sorry to hear that. So sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
Lauren?
Yes.
Can you hear me? This is Laura Mack.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. Yeah, this is Judge Mack. I'm a retired district judge from the 29th District Court. We run a mental health treatment program. And we have lost 5 people that I just want to remember here today. They passed away from overdose deaths, and their deaths have affected me very deeply. We try very hard to help everyone in our program. And I just want everybody to know that they are loved. Everyone that is struggling, you are worth it. And we want you to live and we want you to succeed. So the people that we lost are Troy Boyd, Gregory Gaskin, Christopher Bodkins, Angela Johnson, and Richard Nastel. They were lovely people. They were people that didn't deserve to die because of this horrible disease. And I just wish you all strength and love going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was beautiful. Would anybody else like to share?
You know, I would, but I can't find the button.
Well, we hear you. So
I just hold them up and say, this is my beautiful soul son. Over here, can you see it?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Pat. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I'll share. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Andy. Where are you? Wait a minute. That's a weird question to ask. I've got everyone up on a grid and I'm trying to figure out, wait, where is he? There you are. Okay.
This is my beautiful son, Dakota. And the one word I think about him is missed and loved. 2 words. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Andy, would you hold up the picture again, please?
Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Can I show a picture of Joe?
Please do.
I think I'm sorry if I'm doing sort of many pictures of Joe. One of them is during COVID. Can you guess which one? And I miss him terribly. He's a beautiful boy. He's a sweet son.
Thank you for sharing, Lisa. Would anybody else like to share? Gina.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
That's me and Joe.
Beautiful picture.
He was authentic. Sorry. And never afraid to be himself.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to share? Okay, then I am going to share with all of you right
Hey,
now.
Lauren, there was another person, a couple more people. We had Marianne and I think Patricia.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Are we on?
Are we on? Yeah. Can you see?
A
Is
little,
there-
yeah, here we go. I see it. Yep.
Another picture of Joe.
Our nephew.
Yep.
And
I'm wearing his shirt.
talented.
Marianne, hold on for a second because we're hearing from Patricia Selinger, and then you can speak, okay? Thank you so much.
Kind and sensitive.
Thank you. Marianne, I think you're on mute.
Oh.
There, yeah, unfortunately we can't hear you. Yeah, no words. If you want, you can put your words in the chat. And if you want to show us a picture. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to conclude with a video then, and hopefully this works, so bear with me.
Lauren, you got to share your screen.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me move back
Can't
up.
see it.
Okay, thank you. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay.
Should have stayed. Were the signs I ignored? Can I help you not to hurt anymore? We saw brilliance when the world was asleep. There are things that we can't have, we can't keep. They say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If the moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Will I do?
So that concludes our event for today, for this year. I do want to remind everybody though, again, we have the grief support group, we have the family and friends support group. There is information about both of those groups on our Facebook page. We also have a program called Hope Not Handcuffs, which many of you may have heard of. If you know someone who's struggling with addiction who wants help and is reaching out for help, you can have them call us. You can have them contact us and we'll put them in touch with our Hope Not Handcuffs program to help get them help. I hope that you all leave this space knowing that you're not alone, that we know we understand your heartbreak, and many of us feel the heartbreak as well. And we stand with you in your sorrow. And we have, as a result of this program and hearing all of your stories, renewed inspiration to do what we can to make a difference, to end the stigma associated with addiction and to help people who are struggling with this awful disease. So thank you all for being with us tonight. And that's it for our program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren and everyone.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Y'all have a good night.
Thanks again to all our speakers.
Yes, thank you so much. And to
Yes,
each-
very
And thank
beautiful.
you, Kelly. You did a
And
great job organizing.
Everybody did a great job.
Yeah,
Yes, they did.
thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.